Apostrophes. Here we are with apostrophes. Apostrophes are very helpful punctuation marks. For one thing, they help you to speed up your writing when you're going to use contractions. So I will becomes I'll, I would becomes I'd, I have becomes I've, it is becomes it's, do not becomes don't. I have over in the download section a list of common contractions over in the resources to the side here. Go ahead and download that list. There are all the common contractions that I could think of on that list. Apostrophes are used to show possession also. So one use is to combine two words together, to scrunch two words together and take the place of the missing letters. And another way that we use apostrophes is to show possession. When nouns are possessive, they have apostrophes. Sometimes we add an apostrophe with an S to the end of the word to show that that noun is possessive. And sometimes we just add an apostrophe with no S. People often get confused about this. When do we add the S? When do we leave the S off? The rule is really simple. If you pronounce the S, you add the S. This is a new change. Chicago Manual of Style just put this into effect a couple of years ago, not too long ago, and it's great because it makes it much easier to remember. If you pronounce the S, then you write the S down. If you don't pronounce it, you leave it off. So let's look at some examples. When the possessive noun is singular, we usually add an apostrophe and an S to the end of the word. Peter owned the bike. It was Peter's bike. Mr. Brown owned the car. It was Mr. Brown's car. Russ owned the jacket. It was Russ's jacket. But if the singular noun ends in an S or an X, we only add an S if the final S is pronounced. The fox was in his den. It was the fox's den. The cactus had spines. They were the cactus's spines. The mouse had cheese. It was the mouse's cheese. One fox in the den. The fox's den. One cactus with the spines. The cactus's spines. One mouse with cheese. It's the mouse's cheese. But when the possessive noun is plural, the apostrophe is often used with no S behind it. Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown owned the house. It was the Browns' house. You see, there are two Browns there. Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown. There are two Browns. And so they already have a plural with an S on the end. And the apostrophe comes after that S because it's talking about both of the Browns. The two sisters shared the bedroom. It was the sisters' bedroom. The three boys all had sneakers. They were the boys' sneakers. Because we don't pronounce the final S, it's left off the word. We don't say it was the Browns' house. It was the sisters' bedroom. Or they were the boys' sneakers. So we leave that final S off. But if we pronounce the S, then we add it behind the apostrophe. The mice owned the cheese. It was the mice's cheese. The geese had webbed feet. They were the geese's webbed feet. Finally, we have some irregular plurals. And again, if we pronounce the final S, then we add it behind the apostrophe. The children owned the crayons. They were the children's crayons. The cacti were full of spines. They were the cacti's spines. Mr. and Mrs. Harris owned the house. The Harrises owned the house. It was the Harrises' house. Two foxes were in their den. It was the fox's den. And there we have it for apostrophes. Make sure you're taking the quizzes after all of these lectures. I hope that you're taking them, and I hope that you're finding that these lectures are helping you. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next lecture.